I believe it's almost impossible to balance them because of different things in our lives that happen. We might be likely to move into one more than the other. But that's what I call harmonizing, when we're allowing that harmony between the two.
What's my next aligned step, right? And all these little things along the way so that you can harness both the masculine energy, and the masculine of doing is almost automatic. So it's rewiring all those neural pathways to become automatic in your life. It's taken me a long time, don't get me wrong. It's been a long journey.
But when we lead with the heart of the feminine, then the patriarchal, or the part that we're afraid of that would trap us, will not do that, because in a way it follows the lead of the divine feminine. In that way, everything will be aligned and it'll be beautifully grounded. It goes out into the universe. We are of service, and then, money gets received from our mission work.
I have really learned for myself that is like really the bomb for me, because when I do that, I find this equilibrium where the masculine just kind of starts to follow. Everything happens in this flowing state for me.
When we do and we feel we haven't accomplished anything, well, that's where it's a big sign that you've been operating from nervous system, from conditioning, do, da, but not going anywhere.
Hey everyone, it's Sophia from Sacred You. Thank you so much for being here. A quick message before we dive into today's discussion. You may have been watching our videos, but have not had a chance to hit that subscribe button. So if you have gained value from our conversations, from our channel, it would be so appreciated for us if you would hit that subscribe button below right now and even give us a like. What that means is not only does it allow us to grow our subscriber base, but it also allows us to bring in even more guests for you to listen to. And you will be one of the first ones to be notified. So please hit that subscribe button and let's get started on today's wonderful panel discussion.
Welcome to our panel discussion today with the Sacred You community, and I've got some gorgeous women here that are going to introduce themselves in a moment. And our topic today is embrace the balance, working with the divine feminine and masculine energies. I am Julie Nelson, your host for today, and a couple of us here run tribes within the Sacred You community. So when you introduce yourself, please share about your tribe. My tribe is called the Bewitching Tribe, and we actually explore quite a few different, animals, quite a few different avenues with magic, astrology, perfumery, aromatherapy, witchcraft, and they're all woven together. So yeah, I would love to see more people join us. And if you have any questions, of course, you can check in and comment in the comment section below, which, by the way, everybody's details will be in the comment section, so you can connect in with anybody through there. So Jo, let's have you introduce yourself for a mo.
Sure. Hi, thanks, Julie. Yes, I'm Jo Irwin. I actually run the Empowered You tribe in the Sacred You community, but outside of that, I work with women primarily to support them in overcoming overwhelm and anxiety and all the things that we, as women struggle with in the world, and activate their power so they can live that life that they truly love. And that's done in many different ways. Lots of different methods I use, NLP, hypnosis, whatever they need support with past life. It's beautiful work. So thank you for having me here.
It's wonderful to be on panel with you again, Joe. It's been a little while for me. SOOCHEN.
Well, hello, Julie, and hello, everybody. Very, very excited to be here. I'm SOOCHEN Low, and I'm a creative power business alchemist and a sovereign leadership catalyst. So I don't have a tribe, but I suppose my tribe is creative, female conscious, spiritual entrepreneurs. And what I do is help them to grow their business to consistent 10K months without the struggle, the people pleasing, or having to prove themselves by actually harnessing their creativity to build expansive business structures designed to really help them to own their unique creative power so that they can ultimately own their income, their life, their destiny, but in sovereign leadership, which is a juicy topic, sovereign leadership. Yes.
Love it, love it, love it, love it. And I think all of us here are very much about standing in our sovereignty and our power unapologetically.
Absolutely.
And Nick.
Hello, everyone. Such a joy to be on a panel with you today. So I'm Anick Patry. I'm Unique Anick. I'm French Canadian based in Australia. And my mission is to empower and uplift women in spirit who has spiritual businesses, to really remember that you are a creator and to embody your highest joy and own your creative power. And the way I work is I'm a voice alchemist. I help you to voice your own frequency, your sound, and voice your unique message out in the world in a way that lands and that feels juicy and orgasmic to you.
Oh, I love that. Orgasmic, yes.
Orgasmic, bring it on, baby.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And LEEANN, again, it's lovely to see you here too.
This is my first time on panel here with Sacred You. So I'm very happy to join on this wonderful topic of feminine, masculine presence. And I live in central Queensland, it's quite a regional area. And I love working with women intuitively, medical intuitive and energy coach and art of feminine presence facilitator. So I just love working with women to empower them in the journey that they're embarking on. And it's just wonderful to be here. Thank you.
Yay, yay. So that's awesome that you're here for your first time. And I love that for the panelists, getting tongue-tied here, that we are all about women rising because we are in a very patriarchal system and there's some big shifts been happening. So we've got to really work in that and balance or harmonize, bring harmony into our masculine and feminine. And we also have a beautiful guest whom I know, MJ, Jade. Jade, would you like to introduce yourself and share anything? Or you yes.
Hi guys, I'm so glad to be here amongst powerful and gorgeous women. I am looking forward to what you guys have to say.
Fantastic. And by the way, Jade, you are more than welcome. I'll give you the opportunity to share as well if you like, because the more we can share, the better it is for our listeners. So our topic, as I'll just repeat, embrace the balance, or I'm also going to add how to harmonize our masculine and feminine, because it's quite different to bringing in balance. So we want to harmonize, working with the energies of the feminine and masculine to create balance in our lives, because sometimes we have to move from one to the other. So that's really the nuts and bolts of this conversation. So my first question, so we've got 3 questions, and of course, if we have time at the end, we can also venture out into some more conversation. How do you currently experience and express both divine feminine, which is about intuition, nurturing, and creativity? I believe there's more keywords in there, and fierceness and wildness, trust what words come up for you. And the divine masculine, which is the action, the strength, and the structure. And of course, there can be a fierceness in there. So, how can you bring them into your daily life? And I just want to welcome Myrna as well to our conversation. So, SOOCHEN, would you like to start?
Absolutely, love to. So this is a topic that I talk about with my women very, very often. And we talk about the power trinity. And I talk about the power trinity as the 3 keys to you opening the golden gates of your queendom. And creative power, which is your divine feminine, is one of those keys, and it's really at the top of your crown chakra that I talk about. And then the masculine, I actually speak about it as the base of the root chakra, which is the financial power. And in the middle is the channel, which is your heart, which is your sovereign power. So when we talk about how to balance it, I always talk to my women about leading from the heart, because there's always this, what do I do if I'm running a business? How do I get into not too much into my head, but I still got to do things. And what we found that works a lot is to lead from the heart, because when you lead from the heart and you're the queen in your queendom, you have access from your divine, which is your universal intelligence, your intuition, whatever you're importing from guidance and from your crown chakras. You're beautifully receiving that. But you're also that middle area to then say, well, if I'm receiving from my heart, what am I excited about? And then we lead with that, because that's the part that we are expanding, we're excited. And then, which is a lot what creatives struggle with, is we've got to do something with it. Because if we don't then channel it into something, it will just kind of all dissipate, which a lot of creative spiritual entrepreneurs have troubles with, because when we talk about grounding it through some action, they start to feel trapped, they start to feel suffocated. Because obviously when we are very expansive, we worry that the patriarchal systems, which is very much masculine, has the ability to restrict us. So what I share with my women is, when you lead with your heart at every moment, you are tapped into the universe. So you kind of know that you're always being guided in the right direction in the big picture format. But then it's going to get grounded through everyday life processes, like, oh, is it that I've got to send an email? Do I need to write a message to somebody? Or I need to have lunch with somebody? Like, these are everyday masculine things. But when we lead with the heart or the feminine, then the patriarchal, the part that we're afraid of that would trap us, will not do that, because in a way it follows the lead of the divine feminine. In that way, everything will be aligned and it'll be beautifully grounded. It goes out into the universe. We are of service. And then, money gets received from our mission work. It gets translated into the world, and then it gets reinvested, and we change the narrative of money. So this is how I talk about it with my women, about these, the creative and the masculine coming into play in a very harmonizing way, that's not limiting or suffocating. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. Can I add to that? Because I feel too like, now our heart energy is big, but I have taught myself over many years to live by my intuition. So I would bring in intuition and gut feelings and that, all with the heart. And yeah, and I know that's what you mean, but for some people, just to add that little bit to it for a more deeper understanding. Jo,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. Joe, I'd love to hear from you and how you actually work with yourself. Like, how do we work with ourselves?
Yeah.
Work.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I was thinking about this question in my yoga this morning. I was doing a very deep yin session on myself, and I thought, this is how I work. This is how I do it with my breath, and then being in the poses and going to the edge and then moving beyond that. Because yoga isn't, even though it's yin, it's feminine, it can't, the practice I was specifically doing, it's still masculine because you're still, you know, doing the work. You're feeling into that pain of how far can you push. And I've been going through my own experiences of late where I've really had to step into my power and harness that to keep going from a energetic feminine space. And while I was in this session, I do my own sessions at home, I was feeling this. It was interesting because I was trying to cast my mind back to the past where I was very yang, very masculine, doing as a single mum of 4 children, running a business, you know, to keeping the house, doing all the things as a lot of women are. I found very little time to practice being in my yin, being in my feminine. So I think for me, yoga is a powerful way for me to harness that. And how it shows up in my life now is like, it's automatic because there's I've had to heal a lot of wounds, a lot of trauma from my past to be able to step into that power and be in the heart at the same time, because my power, you know, is the masculine in the belly, in the womb space, and it lives there in a feminine way, but it's also the place of doing, right? So it's about harnessing that, and over time, I could not even pinpoint when, but it feels like my masculine is there, but it's expressed in the world as a feminine way of being. And that comes with your point, Julie, about intuition, you know, feeling into what's my next aligned step. And that takes a lot of not time essentially, but practice to make the time, even if it's 5 minutes, to step in there and move from that place of creativity and intuition, and knowing, you know, on your heart, breath, what's my next aligned step, right? And all these little things along the way, so that you can harness both the masculine energy, and the masculine of doing is almost automatic. So it's rewiring all those neural pathways to become automatic in your life. And it's taken me a long time, don't get me wrong. It's been a long journey, yeah, doing all the things, but I feel like yoga is my place. Yeah.
Thanks, Joe, and I love that. And I'm just going to speak after each of you, because little things come up to me with the words that you speak, so that I can follow on from that rather than waiting till later and then people be going, what are you talking about? Because I know very well what, you know, how it's been for you, as I've had a similar, you know, single mum, doing. And I used to think that I was constantly in my masculine. But I'm going to put that, because that's what we've been, you know, told, and we've got to be those warrior women, you know, we've got to power play. And, you know, my daughter and I lived in and out of hospital for the first 15 years of her life, and I was constantly in battle with schools and hospitals and doctors and specialists. So somebody said something to me, because I said, oh, I'm feeling really burnt out because I'm so in my masculine all the time. And she said to me, are you really? Or is it not your feminine? And it really came to me is like, because I was in that, you know, fierce warrior mother, I was in my feminine. I wasn't in my masculine. I needed to perhaps step into my masculine in a way of being, I now need to put some action into myself to nurture myself. And that for me was doing so I'm kind of flipping it, because, you know, we all have different experiences, but I just thought that might be some food for thought, because when that was said to me, it kind of dropped in, and I thought, that makes sense. That makes absolute sense. I am a fierce woman. It doesn't mean to say that I'm stepping into my masculine. I'm actually in my feminine. Anyway, that just triggered those thoughts for me and what was said to me, which is what I love about these conversations.
I'm gonna have to repeat your question, short and sweet.
How do you currently experience and express both the divine feminine and masculine? And it's kind of about in your life, what do you do?
Well, I'm more of a feminine woman. I'm more in my feminine energy. The feminine energy that is not wounded, because we have modeled our beautiful mother, God bless her. But a healthy feminine energy is a very powerful receiver, very magnetic. She doesn't have to do much at all to bring in whatever she truly desires. She's a badass. And she's hot, and she knows it, and she's not, you know, we can use it as manipulation, but in a healthy feminine, in her heart, in her body, in presence, she's like the most powerful energy ever, like the queen, or you know, like the empress, the goddess, whatever you want to call it. She magnetizes. She's intentional, she's clear, and she magnetizes clients, money, joyful experiences, nourishing experiences. She doesn't need to go into overwhelmed. She doesn't need to go into the version of us that is wounded, and we all have it. We deal with that one as well. We dance with that energy as well. It's a dance. To me, it's like a dance. But so that's the feminine energy in a nutshell. I can talk about this topic for days, actually. I love, like SOOCHEN said, like it's something with my clients that I'm like all over it, because it's just so in our humanity. And also it's very powerful when you start to master it, not from a cognitive, from a mental place, but when it sinks into your cells, into your body, your organs, into your actions, into your choices, your behaviors, you know, when you really sink in. And the masculine, we need it, because the masculine provide, the masculine decide, direct, is purposeful, is, you know, it brings the food to the table. He is the provider. And we need to make peace with the father figure and you know, the crazy world we live in, that, you know, the masculine energy that we are controlled by in society as human beings is completely, I feel like saying it, really like fucked up, really. So
Yes.
fucked up, damaged and controlling, and so unhealthy. So again, the harmonious and the healthy masculine version energy that we all have within ourselves, it penetrates and it goes like, it's like a target, like an arrow, and really goes shoot, you know, shoot right there, and takes inspired actions, powerful inspired actions, to be able to bring, you know, he went for a hunt and he brings the beast on the table, the meat on the table. And so yeah, so it's really beautiful when we can work together with a healthy masculine and a healthy feminine energies together to create. That's the art of creation, really, when we bring these two energies and we work in harmony together. We move forward and we create a beautiful painting, sculpture, like something extraordinary, a business, whatever our heart is really called to offer the world. Oh,
Aho!
that was a good channel. Yeah,
And I loved the sound effects that because it just kind of enhanced it. And this is like, we've got the feminine and the masculine external of us, but we bring it in because, as we've all said, it resides. We are all both feminine and masculine, and it's about how we can use them in our everyday lives. What are the rituals perhaps that you might do on a daily basis that can harmonize? Because it's actually, this is only my personal opinion, I believe it's almost impossible to balance them because of different things in our lives that happen. Where we might be likely to move into one more than the other. But that's what I call harmonizing, when we're allowing that harmony between the two, which for me creates the balance. So yeah, it's very powerful, and it is like what we can create. And Nick, as you said, like, it is like we can go so far when we allow that. Thank you. LEEANN?
I would love to share with you a very personal experience of that harmonizing of the feminine and the masculine. And I guess I grew up on a farm. Just to give you a little bit of background, I grew up on a farm without any brothers, and it was a very like difficult farm because it was a dairy farm and we could never like leave, and we were always looking after things, animals, and the equipment, and so that if I was to look at it, that could be more in like a masculine type of having to do all of the time and having to be there. And then I was a single mom and worked 3 jobs to raise my daughter. And then one day I had the personal experience of someone said to me, "Where inside of you is your feminine?" And I cried for 3 hours. I just cried. I didn't think I knew. And this was like after I had raised my daughter. And coming back to what you said, Julie, that aspect of that intuition. Like, I was guided by my intuition. I was guided by my gut instinct about lots of things. But I really didn't know that was kind of my feminine guiding, because I was so busy doing, and I didn't have that concept within myself personally of the feminine and masculine. So I embarked on this whole journey of learning about the feminine presence, and through the art of feminine presence, and how to embody and know when I was in the embodiment of my feminine and when I wasn't. And I did this over, probably 3 years of this wonderful journey of connection to myself. And then, Jo, when you said about the yoga, like I teach yoga and practice yoga as well. And that was like, sometimes when people in class say to me, we've got to do like a difficult pose, and I will say to them, "Where are you? Are you in your feminine now, or are you in your masculine?" And they will drop in, because they know how to do that now. I've shown them. And they will drop in, and their language is so different. They relax and they soften, and that pose is not nearly as difficult. So these are ways that I encourage my people in my circle, and myself, particularly myself, as the embodiment and that understanding where I am in my own personal experience of feminine and masculine. And then another experience I'll share is I fell over one day, and I I fell and hurt my knee. And I went, oh my gosh, I was out in the paddock and I thought, it's really hurting. And I intuitively or had that drop into your feminine. And I dropped into my feminine. And no kidding, the pain stopped. And I came back out and I went into my thinking mind, my busy, oh, I'm hurt. What am I going to do now? I have to get up off the ground. No, go back into your feminine. So I dropped back into my womb space, into my feminine light globe, and it stopped. And I did this probably about 5 times in this wonderful experience of this embodiment of watching myself, watching my body, having this wonderful dance between the energy. So other than that, I'm very passionate about my understanding of my beautiful feminine energy and how that has truly changed my life.
I love that sharing. I think there's great learning in that. I too I used to live on a big property and I had quite a few bad falls off big rocks and things and have done some damage to my body. And I know when I'm in like, oh my God, it hurts so much. And then it's just coming into that breathe and yeah, our energy shifts and the pain softens. So I really loved that you shared that. Thank you. Thank you so much. Before we go into question 2, Myrna, did you want to share, or if any of our guests want to put something into the message, I can read it out for you.
Me, I come from a matriarchal society, so I grew up with the with the morals around me, of like, gosh, my great grandmothers were not housewives, that we had staff to do stuff like that. So it's a different culture. So I come to this society and where women are not, you see, in my culture, my country, the older the woman, the higher she goes in the hierarchy. So you become the wise aunt, or the fun aunt, whatever roles you wanna play. Yes. So I watch her around me, and it kind of makes me sad to watch how women don't like being women. Most of the time, a lot of the time, it's a lot of, and it's so internalized. They don't realize. I love being a woman. I wouldn't want to be anything else. I grew up with men that promoted women as well. Education it's promoted in my country for girls. We're not taught to be shrinking violets in any shape or form. So, but I'm with you. When I get into the masculine, things go right for me. I love being feminine. I love wearing a dress, and I think that's probably the thing is because the masculine in the environment here is different from the one I grew up with. Not sure. It kind of, I've got, it feels unbalanced for me at the same time. I don't believe men are providers. I think women are perfectly able to provide for themselves. I think for me there is a thing between masculine and paternalistic. And I think that the role models here, the more common male models are paternalistic rather than masculine. So I don't know, maybe you guys can enlighten me on that. Hopefully, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's just what I observed.
I don't think anybody's wrong, Myrna. Thank you for sharing. I think that we each have our own perspective and we work, well, there's cultural differences. We're all brought up differently. And for the sake of our conversation, I guess it's coming back into ourselves. How do we relate? What are the things that we do? And this is the beauty about conversations like this, because we can all share our own perspectives. Nobody is wrong. It's inspiring, and also it helps us to look at things from a different perspective, which I always feel we can learn and gain from. So thank you. Second question, and I've got a third one that I want to get through as well. So in what areas of your life, so not your clients, yours, do you feel a stronger presence of either the divine feminine or divine masculine? And how can you create a more harmonious balance between the two? I would love to share what I'm thinking about this question, if I may, excuse me, if I may, because I'm not separating them. Actually, I'm feeling like it's like the universe and Mother Nature, we're all one. So for me, within my own divine feminine and masculine energy, which has got to me nothing to do with being a woman or a man, it's me, is that maybe perhaps it's because of my life experiences that I have learned that sometimes I'm not sure which one I'm in, because I have changed so much. Like we've got the keywords for each of those energies, and the masculine is the doing, the action taker. When I say provider, I mean when we step into that energy, we're providing for ourselves or our family, etc. And then the feminine, I don't think of the feminine as being all soft and, I mean, we all are soft and sensual, but the masculine can have that as well. So sometimes I think, what am I actually in? And as I mentioned before, when as a mother, it was a really good point or question that was asked of me is, I thought I was constantly living in my masculine that was burning me out, but I was in my feminine as a mother, and because as a mother in our feminine aspect, we do tend to most of us tend to put our children first. And that is all about nourishing and nurturing. So we don't have to be in that soft space to be in our feminine. I don't know if I'm making sense, because I'm still working it out myself, but I am just wondering, I'm not quite sure for me that it's that clear cut anymore. And perhaps that's because I have learned to harmonize them, like bring them together and weave them together rather than keeping them as separate energies. And so I'm not talking about my physical being, my sexuality, or my sexual preference. I'm purely talking about how I now work with myself in everyday life. So I know I need to go to sleep sometimes. So it takes that masculine energy to take the action to do that. And then the feminine is to do that nap in the afternoon to nourish myself. That's what I call harmonizing. But there are definite times and experiences where we know we can definitely pull in one or the other. Just my take, and I'm still working it out. Jo, would you like to share?
Certainly, and I hear you on all of that. And I think that's where I was alluding to in the first question, is how, harmonizing and that masculine and feminine energy, which lives in, for me, it lives inside the masculine, lives inside the feminine now. But like you said, it's taken a lot of time, a lot of practice, a lot of awareness, a lot of doing the work, a lot of understanding the self. And as you said, get older, we get more wiser, but it's important work, and harnessing those parts that are the feminine and bringing more of that into the masculine is part of the work I do. But I have when I read that question, I realized, oh, I've got a really interesting perspective on the masculine here, because it took me a long, long time to step into my feminine in relationships. I would be the one because I'd always done that. And I guess that's part of the healing of those wounds that we carry through from eons and childhood and a lot of trauma and then, my abandonment wound showing up over and over, whereas I needed to take charge to be able to feel safe. And I would, organize the dates and the dinners and all the things and take care of all the things in my relationships. Not that I didn't trust he could do it, but it was like an unconscious program that was running me that just automatically stepped into that. And what I noticed is because I did, and I was let do. I was like, yeah, you organize that because you're good at that. But he's just as capable. It's just that I stepped into that. And for me, that was my masculine playing out and being in control, right? That grasping of control. So that's a very clear area I needed to work on a lot to be able to surrender and trust, that everything will be okay if I let them. And that's my new theme for this year, let them. By the way, I've adopted that through Mel Robbins, and it's been beautiful, and it's rippled out to a lot of my family. But that's another story. So yeah, just realizing when you are in that either masculine or feminine, and then harnessing more of that to do the doing in the feminine. I mean, it sounds crazy, but I agree with you, Julie. It's sort of both, yeah, and it becomes both as you live out your passion and your purpose. Yeah. So that's me, because I know we've got limited time.
Yes, I'm looking at the time, and thank you. I really get you. So that we can get on to the next question, LEEANN, what do you have to say about question 2?
For me, Julie, is that first part is how embracing my divine feminine. I have really learned for myself that is like really, really like the bomb for me, because when I do that, I find this like equilibrium where the masculine just kind of starts to follow, and all of that, everything happens in this flowing state for me. So I do spend time every day like doing my embodiment of my feminine presence, and then I allow, I'm open, I'm receptive, and then the masculine joins. And that's my experience of how that happens.
Love it. Yeah. Thank you. SOOCHEN.
Yes, so some very, very interesting perspectives that we explore so far. And I definitely agree with you, Julie and Joanne, everybody, what you've been saying so far about this integration. And I find that in my life, ever since I left my very abusive marriage, it was a 10-year marriage, and it's been 3 years since I've left that marriage. I found that when I walked out, I discovered my sovereignty, the sovereign power, which is the queen power. And so uniquely, or as who I was made up, I'm actually more a creative or feminine person. But because I went into a marriage that my ex-husband used money to, manipulate, gaslight, and control me, I almost had to then adopt a very masculine perspective to be able to contribute, make money, push, work hard, and that kind of thing. So the feminine side kind of fell by the wayside, so to speak, as what you were saying, Julie, but not so much that I've forgotten about it, because in the background, as all of us intuitors know, I was still tapped into divine intelligence, and was giving me the awareness that whilst I was going through a very painful, abusive time, I was still able to go, no, there is a bigger lesson here. What am I here to learn? So whilst I am on the surface being, in a way, you could say victimized, not that I was being abused on that physical level, on a masculine level, but the divine feminine was saying, okay, well, we've got to go through this because we are here for a lesson. We're here for a bigger purpose. So that helped me to, in a way, transmute the pain as I was going through it, so that when I walked out, I was able to go, okay, well, that was the purpose. Now let's claim the sovereign power. And so I feel like when I came into my queen, that naturally integrated the creative, the feminine into the masculine, until I no longer go, oh, I'm now in my masculine, I'm now in my feminine. It's like, from the queen, where am I receiving intuition from? What is my next feeling? What's my next excitement? And as the queen, I mean, she can pretty much go out and hunt if she needed to, right? Because it's just an action. Because from her intentionality, she says, I'm going to provide for my queendom. I'm going to be responsible for my people. So it's like this love, which is very feminine. But then she goes, well, I'm going to go do it because I know I can get the best action, best result from doing it. So it no longer is separated from masculine or feminine. It's just like, well, what is my intention? So I feel that in my life, certainly, when I'm in my queen, it just naturally marries the two, and it doesn't really matter which is which. But that's how I feel.
I love it. I get you. And when you were talking about, you would hunt if you had to, of course we would. And in some cultures, women are the hunters.
Yeah.
That doesn't make them masculine. So I love it. Thank you. And Nick.
Okay, there's a lot of juiciness in there. I mean, it's a big conversation, really, a rich, enriching conversation. I feel more in my feminine. I feel more at home in my feminine energy, and I'm noticing that sometimes I would take actions, but they're not always inspired action. Sometimes we get busy for the sake of being busy, when it's like to notice. I suppose I want to bring that to the table, because sometimes we're in our nervous system, operating from the nervous system and doing for survival, because we've been conditioned that way, that if we're not doing something, we won't survive. We won't, it's how we wired, which requires embodied practices. Like, I use the voice. For me, I do yoga 4 times a week, but whatever works for you to bring your brain into calmness and bring your body into feeling safe and calm, as opposed to feeling agitated, because so that when we do and we feel we haven't accomplished anything, well, that's where it's a big sign that you've been operating from nervous system, from conditioning, from do da, but not going anywhere. so often the action you've got to take will be given to you, will be offered to you, you'll receive it. But you might resist it. You might fear it. You might resist it. And that's the action that will give you the most potent results. And that's where you got to go over yourself and embody that masculine, that power, that life force, and go for it. Penetrate the world with that, with what you receive, with the guidance that you received, which requires to be available. I mean, you've got to be available to receive. If you're not available, I was not available for years to receive. I was operating like a little machine to do, because I've got a lot of energy as well, and I'm a very passionate person. And I realized, okay, well, great, but this is not what my heart truly desires to give birth to, It's so... Yeah, so it is like a beautiful dance, because we're constantly in motion, we're constantly moving, we're constantly creating, we're creating all the time. This conversation, this panel never happened before, so we are co-creating this platform, this conversation, and it's very magical because we're coming from, you know, from our uniqueness, and whatever comes through us is what needs to be shared. Like, I'm not thinking about what I'm saying, it's what's coming through, you know, what's coming through. So I'm not sure that it's like it's the harmonious, how we harmonize with it, the dance. You put the music on and you move, and you don't think about your steps. You allow your body to take you in that in what feels juicy, what feels orgasmic, what feels. I come a lot with this orgasm. I think sex is very powerful.
You're not Scorpio, are you?
I am Scorpio.
There you go. Because Scorpio is all about
but
sex.
I feel that it's provocative and it's activating. That's why I use it. I use it all the time because it activates. It's a mover and a shaker. Sexuality is a mover and a shaker, you know. So yeah, so that's the dance is to, you know, your movement can be tack, 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 staccato, like masculine, directed, choo-choo, and they can be also flowy and sensual, and it is a dance, you know, noticing which dance that your beautiful body and your sacred heart needs to express, that, you know, that will harmonize it. I mean, it cannot not be harmonized. It's not harmonized when you're operating from your ego, from a nervous system that's not calmed down. That's when it's not harmonized.
Yep. Can we get on? You've actually taken us into the next question, which going.
I do that often. I have to say that I do that often.
Yeah.
without knowing.
Yeah, your energy is very scorpionic, which I love it. You know, it's that sexy, orgasmic, you know, passionate, you know, very intense and deep, which is what Scorpio energy is. So I'm just going to simplify this question, and it's more about, you know, again, thinking about our divine masculine and feminine, but how, I guess, what actions you take to align you towards your goals. And I just also, with you all speaking, which is actually fantastic, and I love especially their own experiences, is that, and Anick, you brought this to my mind, because astrologically, and being an astrologer, I can't help but share this, is that we all have different elemental ratios, and some people have more fire, some more earth, some more water, some more air, and some are balanced. So it's really important. This actually I have found in the 30 odd years I've been doing astrology and my work, is that when we understand those elements of ourselves, our elemental ratio, we can then work with it to harmonize that. Because if we don't, then we're often out of balance. So it's coming back to understanding ourselves and our energy that we are made up of. So yeah, and just talking about the orgasmic energy and Scorpio, just I thought, you know, that's worth bringing into this, because, you know, earth and water are feminine, air and fire are masculine. And so, you know, looking at your elemental ratio, you can actually dance and play with that to work towards achieving and manifesting your goals. So yeah, I love that. So LEEANN, let's go with you.
Okay, so I guess just to finish up with that statement that you made, I need to bring more like fire when I'm wanting to achieve my goals, because I'm like very earthy, very like I'm a pitta, I'm a kapha in Ayurveda. So I need like a little bit more fire and a little bit more of that, which is, if we could say, that might be the masculine. So I probably tend to look at that masculine. Is that helping me? Am I embodying that? Am I, having that experience of that in my goals? Or am I just going along in my, my flow, my easy kapha kind of flow with that? And being in my feminine and connecting in with my feminine, again, like I said before, that helps me to really know where I am and intuitively be guided. And then I know when to reach out for that fire, or that, that I've got to get this done now. You've only got like half an hour and you've wasted like 3 hours. So I've got to get the fire. I've got to pull in that fire now to help me, achieve. So
that's very earthy. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. It's very earthy. And just as a tip, like for people that might be unsure, if you want to bring in that fiery action and passion, you can like eat spicy foods, do candle magic, do things that represent the element of fire if you're going to work down that way. I love it. Yeah. And the awareness. See, I've only got one earth. I'm up there in the sky or in the deep dark ocean.
What you said, Julie, about knowing yourself, like that is so like, I just love that I experience and do that journey of knowing myself, like on all different levels. Yeah, I love that.
And it's key, and it's something that, it took me a few decades to really know myself and life experiences, and I had some tough ones and there was reasons why. So yeah, it is key knowing ourselves. And someone else mentioned reflection. It was SOOCHEN. I mean, going into reflection, like why I might be triggered, or what can I do for this? Reflection and how we might respond is really powerful. Jo.
Oh my, there's so much in this, isn't there? There's just so many different elements and so many places we could go. And I totally get it, Leanne. I'm with you with getting that fire element into, sometimes it's for manifesting what you're actually calling in. But also that piece around receiving, like being worthy. I find that's a very deep wound for a lot of people, a lot of women, and specifically, and being worthy of having the things that we're calling in. So there's so many layers in here that we can work with in calling in what we want. And for me, it was all about, because way back then when I was running in, I felt I was running in my masculine. I had no idea that's what it was. Yeah. I didn't even know about it. We're talking 40 odd years ago. However, the journey of becoming and understanding all these aspects that create the peace that helps you to step into your feminine presence. And that's a really key, because presence is everything. When we're present, we are naturally softer, aren't we? We're really, I've done a lot of the art of feminine presence work as well, Leanne. So we are naturally softer and more lighter, and we have this energy field of invitation. But that came with a lot of wounding, and what SOOCHEN shared about her experience with her husband. I've come from a very abusive background as a child, so that took me a long time to even want to even look at that before I could heal that, to be able to step into the feminine and feel safe to be there, right? There's so much in that. So yeah, I really believe that it's a journey, and I've learned to turn my pain now, as I can feel in a lot of you women and SOOCHEN here, turning my pain into my power and using it for that fierce achieving what I want in my life for me and the people around me and the greater good of everybody. So that's my little piece, because I know we're over time.
It's all right. We've got a few minutes, so we can quickly jump into SOOCHEN and I think Jade might want to share something as well. I can see a group of women like us sitting all day just talking about it's big. It's big.
So therefore I understand exactly. But I want to introduce the idea about fire, because fire can be seen as masculine. Like, so the other part of me, which is I'm an artist, that's my primary archetype. But my secondary archetype is I'm an alchemist. Now, an alchemist, you could normally see it as a masculine thing. But because in my line of work, what I do is I work with my women. So it's almost like putting your darkness through fire so that you can extract the gold. Now, I feel that this is a very, you could say it's a masculine, feminine. It's almost like one and the same. And it's like putting our darkness, which is our wounds, through the test of fire. I mean, that's really how gold is created. And that's really how, diamonds, anything with pressure, which is really full of feminine energy. I mean, the universal energy, you could say, is feminine energy. But then combined with that test of fire or pressure, we then ignite the feminine to be even more powerful than that. You know what I mean? So therefore, I just feel like, once again, they're all one and the same, really. And it's just, as you said, Julie, we are all one.
Yeah, it's so powerful. What an inspiring conversation. Jade, you've come on camera. Do you want to share something, my love?
No, not really, but since you've said it, I might as well put in my 2 bobs of coins. For me, I see everything as energy, like behind me. So I kind of tend to not have expectations because I know that we're in a 3D dimension at the moment. And so the old programmings, so perceptions and all that sort of stuff, like I try to avoid that. If we want to move forward to the 5D dimension, we need to get out of our head, our logic mind, and go in our heart center and have a coherence to the heart, mind, and gut that activates our intuition. And I allow the divine intelligence to just flow with it. So I don't have perceptions in what feminine and masculine energy is. But however, I do have a daily routine, which I make a powerful intention within my energetic field that I intend to balance my masculine and feminine energy. And I see it as like what Nick said, it's a dance, but it's like a male and a female doing a tango and dancing in flow with one another. And then it's kind of like creating a drink. You balance the ingredients and then it blends in together as one, just like what Julie said. So it's kind of like, and I think the key is being aware and being open to this, because a powerful mentor once said to me that your words is your wand.
Oh,
Really?
they are. Our thoughts, feelings, and words are our wand.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we need to do is intentions, awareness, and be open to it, and just allow the divine intelligence to do its flow.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh my gosh, there's so many things I want to add to that, and we're out of time, but what I just want to say thank you. And I'm feeling like we could have like a 3-hour retreat online, at least talking about this topic. It would be amazing. So thank you to everyone. And for anybody that would like to connect in with these gorgeous women in Sacred You, their links will be in the comments below. And also, if anybody would love to become a member of the Sacred You, there is an offer that is always standing where you can pay $1 and get 2 weeks to experience choose some tribes that appeal to you and jump in. And then if you want to become a member, there is also a 50% lifetime offer. So it's amazing to take up. And I love that, a new cocktail of masculine and femme blends of energy. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna create this new cocktail.
We are. And I'm just going to claim something for myself here. And if anybody wishes to, just before we end this, is that I'm always in the doing. And Nick brought this up, you know, because I think I've got to keep working. And because I live on my own, it's really easy. I just work. And I've been saying to myself most of this week, I'm going to take 3 days away from social media. And then I'm going, can I? So I'm going to set it up so that I can. So I'm claiming that. Does anybody else want to quickly claim something they're going to do to harmonize and balance their life?
I actually started that last weekend, Julie, just taking that time away from, oh my goodness, went out to the land, connected with the earth, spent time with an elder, just really being in that presence of that energy of nature. And it was so healing. So I encourage everybody to take some social media time out.
I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Nick?
Accountability partner.
I'm claiming my new cocktail of a feminine blend of energies. For me, it's like if I listen to my heart, to my intuition. To me, intuition and heart is exactly the same thing. If I listen, the medicine is there. Like I don't need to fix or try to do new things or whatever it is. I mean, social media, yes, it can be an addiction. We all have addictions, you know what I mean? It can be a distraction, can be an addiction. But to really be wise with our time and energy and work, doing a work that is really nourishing for our soul and for our heart. It's really true to ourselves. It's not to try to prove, not try to heal, not try to do something, not try to appear wiser than anyone else. It's not that. It's in our heart. It's in our heart. And I think we should learn that from a very young age at school. Learn to listen to your heart, 101. And
We should all, sorry.
As simple as it sounds, the medicine is there.
Yes, it is.
That's my message.
Thank you. And I think that women like us would do well to go into schools to talk. Just very, very quickly, LEEANN, do you have a goal? Just because we are over time, but
I think I would love to share that, just what you said, Jade, about the moment that we give something the meaning, that's what it becomes. So I'm going to just be in the energy and not give the meanings.
Beautiful.
Just be observer.
Beautiful. SOOCHEN, anything?
Well, I've already claimed this for myself, but in a way I'm putting it on the pedestal on the table for every woman to really claim their queen, because really when you're the queen, it all works. It's like magic, the medicine, it's all there. You don't have to figure it out. It all happens.
Love it. And my favorite thing is unashamedly and unapologetically.
Absolutely.
Wow. Thank you. I know we went over time. I appreciate you staying. And I'm thinking maybe we can all get together again and do a Zoom call to put out there. Or maybe back on the Sacred You, but we need a couple of hours at least. All righty. Thank you to our audience, and know that you can connect in with us anytime. Thank you. Bye.